Hello. In this video, I will do an ASVAB Math Knowledge Exam 6. So yeah, let's do this one will be the last Math Knowledge one. Okay, let's start. I kind of did this one, but let's start from the beginning. So question one says, find the area of the shaded region or this little blue stuff. So what you need to do is to find the area of the shaded region, do you see two shapes? Do you see the rectangle and the circle? Yes. So what you got to do is subtract the area from those two shapes and you get your answer. So what I'm going to do is find the area of the shaded region, you basically take the area of the rectangle minus area of the circle. Okay, so what is the area of a rectangle, or what's the formula? It is length times width. And then what is the area of a circle, or the formula? It is pi r square, right? So that's something you must know. So look at the rectangle, the big rectangle. What is the length and the width? So it's a 2 by 1. So the length is 2 times it by 1 minus pi. What is now if you look at the circle, what is the radius? It's given, it's 0.25. And then we're going to square that. So when you put it all together, what's 2 times 1? 2 minus what's 0.25 squared? So without a calculator, you know that 0.25, if you do the long way, 0.25 times 0.25, uh, it's going to give you, let's see, 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2, 5 times 2 is 10, plus the 2 is 12, carry the 1, 5 times 0 is 1, placeholder, 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1 is 5, and then add them up, you get 5, 2, 6, and then count how many total decimal places. There is total 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and then you have to add an extra 0, so that's 0.0625. So that is going to be 0.0625. And you still have this pi. And if you look at all the choices, they didn't replace pi with 3.14, so they left it. So this is your answer. So they want exact value. They didn't want a decimal. So it's 2 minus 0.0625 pi. So it looks like the last choice. Okay, so in this problem, you need to know the area of a rectangle, which is length times width, and then you need to know the area of a circle, which is pi r square. Okay, I kind of did that one, so yeah, let's just move on to the next one. Yeah, I did this one way ahead, so yeah. So question two, what is y2 times y5? So in this one, you need to know that your exponent rule. So when you're multiplying with the same base, you add the power. So really, it's really saying y to the 2 plus 5, which is y7. Okay, so that is letter A. Okay, question three. It's kind of like foiling. What is x plus 3 times x plus 5? There is no shortcut with this one. Sometimes there are shortcuts like perfect square trinomial. This one, you just have to FOIL it out and collect like terms. So what's x times x? X squared. What's x times 5? 5x. What's 3 times x? 3x. What's 3 times 5? 15. And then what's 5x plus 3x? 8x plus 15. And then what's x squared plus 8x plus 15? That's it. So it's letter A. Okay. Um, Question 4, which of the following is a prime number? So what is a prime number? So they don't, yeah. So a prime number is basically a number that can be times by one in itself. The A number that can be times by one. So an example, 2 is a prime number, right? Two numbers that multiply 2 is only 1 and 2, right? 3 is a prime number. With two numbers multiply 3, only 1 and 3. 5, 7, and it doesn't necessarily mean all odd numbers are prime number. So it can only mean a number of times its one in itself. So is 15 prime? No, because it's 5 times 3, which is not one in itself, right? Is 18 prime? No, because it's like 6 and 3. And then that it's not one in 18, right? It's 23 prime. Yes. Because what two numbers multiply 23 only? Just one in itself. And there's no other way out, right? There's no other numbers. So it's C. Um, Question 5, what is the mode of the following series? 5, 5, 7, 7, 7, 9, 9, 11, 11. So basically, the mode is the number that occurs the most often. Look at our numbers. We have 5, 5, 7, 7, 9, 9, 11, 11. What are the numbers that occurs most often? 7, right? 7 hits like one, 2, 3, 3 times. 9 only hits it twice. 11 only hits it twice. So it has to be 7. Okay. Question 6. If b equals 5, what is b cubed over b? So you see it's slanted, slightly slanted. I don't like it like that. So I'll just rewrite it as b cubed all over b. Or B1. So before you plug in B for 5, you shouldn't plug in B for 5 now. What you want to do is simplify it. So in this one, what is B cubed over B1? Well, you kind of remember when you're dividing with the same base, you subtract. So it's going to be 3 minus 1 is 2. Then you're going to replace your B with 5. So that's 5 squared, which is 25. Okay, this one. Um, Solve 4 factorial. So you see that exclamation mark? So what does that exclamation mark mean? It really means 4 factorial. So what that really means is, I mean, you cannot use a calculator, so you can't just plug that in your calculator. It really means 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That's all it really means. So 4 times 3 is 12, times it by 2 times 1, and then 12 times 2 is 24, times it by 1, which is 24. Okay. What about this one? Number letter eight, question eight. 600 times 3 divided by 4. So what you need is like an order pendas, right? So you're probably thinking, what do I do first? This is why we have pendas. So do we have a parentheses? Yes. So our parentheses is 600 times 3. So what you got to do is do the order of operation inside the parentheses first. So it's really simple. What's 600 times 3? 1800. And then bring down your divided by 4 and then keep on, then start with pandas all over again. So forget about the parentheses. Do we have an exponent? No. Do we have a multiplication? No. Do we have a division? Yes. So 1800 divided by 4 is, you did the box, how many times is 4 going to 18? About 4 times, so that's 16. 18 minus 16 is 2. Bring down the 0, that's 5. And then bring down the 0, that's 0. That's how I got 450. Okay, question 9. If x equals 3, then what is x raised to the x plus x? Oh, so yeah. So yeah, what is x raised to the x plus x? You can't simplify these for right now, so you just got to plug it in. So replace where we see next, plug in 3. So it's going to be 3 raised to the x or 3 to the third plus 3. And then you do the exponent first because of pandas. So what's 3 to the third? 27 plus 3. 27 plus 3 is 30. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this one number 10. We have this weird mess. I don't like this slanted division, so I'm going to just rewrite it real quick to make it easier. So you see this slant, I don't like that. I'm just going to say 9 horizontal 3. I don't know, that makes it easier. So what do we do first? Our goal is to solve for y, so you kind of have to do the order of operation pandas. So let's see. Do we have parentheses? Yes, we do. We have several. We have one, two, we have th two, 4 parentheses. So let's just do them. So 4 plus 2 is just one order of operation. What is just what's 4 plus 2? 6. What's 9 divided by 3? 3. What's 7 minus 4? 3. And then what's 2 plus 2? 4y. So we did the parentheses. Now, do we have an exponent? No. Do we have an exponent? I mean, multiplication? Yes. So on the left side, it's all multiplication. What's 6 times 3 times 3? Well, 6 times 3 is 18, times it by 3, or 3 times 3 is 9, times it by 6, that's 54. And then you have, on the right side, you have 4y. Okay, then what we've got to do is solve for y. So the y is on the right side. So I'd have to get rid of this 4. Do not subtract 4. Instead, this is multiplication, it's got squished. Do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So divide this by 4, and you get 13.5. Okay, question 11. Multiply square root of 36 times square root of 81. You could technically multiply 36 and 81 and put a square root because they're both under a square root, right? But because they're perfect squares, right? What is the square root of 36? 6 times what is the square root of 81? It's a perfect square, it's 9. And then just simplify. What's 9 times 6? 54. So A, 54. This one, which of the following fractions is the largest? Yeah, unfortunately, you kind of have to figure that out. It's going to be 9/14 because 3/7. Here, let me show you why 3/7. I'm not going to do all of them, but I just want to show, I'm going to just kind of review how to divide fractions. So 3/7 is the same thing as box 3 here, 7 there, and then decimal under after 3, right? And then placeholder, line them up. How many times does 7 go into 30? About, you could put invisible 0 here, and then it'd be like 4, 'cause 7 times 4 is 28. Bring down the 0, 30 minus 20 is 2. Bring down the 0. How many times does 20 go into 7? 2. And then it'll keep going to 8. So that's how you do it. And then that's how you do it for the other one. But 9/14 is the largest because 9/14, here's 9, here's 14. It's going to come out as 0.6428 when you do the algebra. So yeah, so it's letter D. Okay, question 13. If 5 plus y is less than or equal to 9, then what is y is less than or equal to? So basically, they want you to just isolate y by itself. So it's not too bad. All you got, in order to isolate y, you got to get rid of this 5 by subtracting 5. And you get y is less than or equal to 9 minus 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 4. 14. If a circle has a diameter of 10 meters, what is the circumference mostly near? So you need to know the formula of a circumference. So the circumference of a circle is 2 times pi times r. So unfortunately, they don't give us a diameter. They give us I mean, they don't give us a radius. Um, they give us a diameter of 10. So how do you find the radius? Well, if you can visually see it that here is a diameter and this is 10. The radius would be halfway point. So it's basically 1/2 of the diameter, which is 1/2 times 10, which is 5. So my radius is 5, so it's going to be 2 times pi times 5, which is 10 pi. Now, if you look at our choices, you don't see it because they replace pi with 3.14. So it's really saying what's 3.14 times it by 10. So the good news, it's 10. So all you got to do is move the decimal one place to the right. So that is 31.4. So in about, or most nearly, is going to be 31. Question 15. A rectangular storage box measures 20 inches long, 10 inches wide, and 15 inches high. What is the volume? So what you need to know is you need to find the volume, which is length times width times height, right? So my length is 20, my width is 10, and my height is 15. So this is not too bad. What's 20 times 10? You just have to add 20 times 10 is 200. And then what's 200 times 15? If you do the long way, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 0 is 0, 2 times 5 is 10, placeholder, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 0 is 0, 2 times 1 is 2, add them up, and you get 3,000. So our volume is 3,000 cubic inches, or yeah, cubic inches, or inches cubed. Okay, question 16. The sum what is they're asking the sum of the measure of interior angles of a pentagon is. So when they say interior, they mean the inner angle. So if you want, you can draw an image. Well, a pentagon has five sides. So this is what they're asking. So imagine you have a pentagon. It's not gonna be the best, but something like this. Um, so you have five sides, right? This angle, this angle. They want to know what these one interior angle is. I mean, the sum, sorry, the sum of these interior angles. Um, so you have one side. So this is a pentagon because you have five sides. So what you have to do is need to know the sum. You need to know this formula. So the sum of interior angle, I assume this is all regular because all these angles are the same. So yeah, they are regular. So you're going to use this formula. Sum equals n minus 2 times 180. Okay, so that's a formula you must know. Um, n represents how many sides do we have? So this is a pentagon. So a pentagon has five. So it's 5 minus 2 times 180. And then 5 minus 2 is 3 times by 180, which is 540 degrees. So if you add up all these interior angles, it's going to add up to 540 degrees. 17, convert 18% as a fraction. So that's the same thing as 18 over 100, right? Why is it 100 versus like 1,000? Because there's only two places, so that's why I add two zeros. And then this can be reduced by 2. So that would be 9, and then 100 divided by 2 is 50. So that's the most reduced, so that's why it's 9 over 50. Okay, question 18, simplify. So what I would do is first do the inner parentheses because remember what pen does. So what's b times 2? That's the same thing as 2b times what's in this parenthesis? What's 5b times 4? That's the same thing as 20b. And then when you put it all together, so let's do the parentheses first. What's 20b times 20b? So you multiply two things, the constant and the letter. So what's 20 times 2? 40. And then what's b times b? B squared. And then we're going to times that by 3 because we saw this 3. So that is going to be 120 b squared. Okay. Okay. 19. Okay, this one's a little bit tricky. So not really, but what you got to do, they want you to add these fractions and yeah, just be careful. So what we're going to do is move everything into improper because they're all mixed. So let's start with 3 and 1/4. Let's make that improper. So what you got to do is multiply 3 times 4, which is 12, and then add the numerator. So that's 13/4 plus, what about 2 and 3/8? So let's make that improper. So what you got to do is multiply 8 by 2, 16, plus 3, 16, 17, 18, 19 over 8, plus 1 and 1/2. So what you got to do is multiply 1 times 2 is 2 plus 1. That's 3/2. Then what I will do is add the fractions over. What do you need to add a fraction? You need a lowest common denominator, right? So if you look at the bottom, we have a 4, an 8, and a 2. What would be my LCD? It would be 8. Now, if you didn't know that because how do you find the LCD? So you can make your little factor tree. So 4 can be multiplied as 2 and 2 or 2 squared. 8 could be broken down as 2 and 4. 2 is prime, and then 4 could be broken down as 2 and 2 or 2 cubed. And then 2 is like 2, right? And then remember what we do is we pick the one with the you pick the one you pick a repeating base with the highest power. So they're both a base of 2, right? And they're both repeating. So which one do I pick? 2 squared, 2 cubed, or 2 to the 1? You pick 2 cubed. So that is why our LCD is 8 because 2 cubed is 8. So that is my lowest common denominator. So what you're going to do is over here, what do I have to multiply 2 to get 8? It's 4. Multiply top and bottom 4. Over here, this is good because it's already an 8. Over here, what do I have to multiply 4 to get 8? 2. Do it both sides. So on the bottom, it's just going to be 8. And on the top, do some work. Um, so 2 times 13 plus 19 plus 3 times 4, that comes out as 57. Now, you don't see our answer. Wait, so what we're going to do is make this improper into a mix. So do the box method. And how many times does 8 go into 57? About 6, because 8 times 6 is 48. 57 minus 48 is 9. You get 6 and 9 eighths. So what you don't see our answer. You don't see 6 and 9 eighths because what they did was you see 9 eighths. Remember, if the numerator is bigger than the denominator, you can make that mix. So we're gonna have to do the box method again. So 9 goes here, 8 goes outside. How many times does 8 go into 9? Once, and then you have a remainder of 1. So that's 1 and 1/8. So what you're gonna do is add this extra whole number 1 with the 6. So that's 6 plus 1, which is 7. And then your remainder is 1/8. Okay, so that was a little bit tricky. So we kind of have to do the improper thing twice. Uh, Question 20. 3/4 is equivalent to which of the following? So they just want this as a fraction. So what is 3/4? You do the box method. 3 goes inside the box, 4 outside. And obviously 4 is way too big for 3, so you're gonna have to add some zeros. Put a decimal here, add an extra 0, line the decimal. How many times does 4 go into 30? Well, you do have an option of putting an invisible 0 here. So how many times does 4 go into 30? About 7. And then 7 times 4 is 28. And then what's 30 minus 28? 2. Bring down the 0. How many times does 4 go into 25? So that's how you get 0.75. Question 21. What is another name for this? 15,302. So they just want to know how I can write this. So it's going to be, okay, is it A? So 1,000 plus 5,000, that's automatically no because 1,000 plus 5,000 is 6,000. We want at least 15,000, right? Is it B? 1,000 plus 5,000, that's automatically a no because that's just 6,000. We want at least 15. Is it C? 10,000 plus 5,000, that's 15,000, yes. And then you have 3 plus 2, which is really 6. We want 302, so that's no. It has to be D because 10,000 plus 5,000 is 15,000. And then you have a 300 plus 2, that's 302. That's definitely it. Twenty-two, what is another way to write 5 times 5 times 5 times? So what you do is if you have a repeating base like here, 5, 5, 5, 5, that is the same thing as 5 to the, remember when you're multiplying with the same base, you add the exponents, but you don't see an exponent, but there is, it's just an invisible one. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the fourth. So see. Okay, 23. Which of the following is equivalent to 30 degrees Celsius? So this one's not too bad. You don't have to, okay, which of these is equivalent to 30 degrees? So your final answer will be in Fahrenheit. All you got to do is plug in 30 degrees into the equation. You don't have to isolate C. You don't have to isolate C. It's actually easier than it looks. So yeah, all you got to do is so use the equation, and then all you got to do is replace your C with 30 degrees. So it's going to be 9/5 times 30 plus 32. And that gives you blah. So what's 9 times 30? 270 over 5 plus 32. 270 over 5 is 54 plus 32, which is 86. So yeah, it is actually B, not A, not A. Okay. What is the width of a rectangle if its length is 15 feet and its area is 180 square feet? So imagine you have this rectangle, and unlike a square, none of the sides are the same. So this could be your length and then this could be your width. They're saying that the length is 15 feet and we don't know the width. That's what we want to find. And then the area is 180. So what we need to do is use what we know. We know that the area of a rectangle is length times width. And then what you're going to do is replace this A 180, replace this L with our given 15 feet, and then replace our W with just W because we don't know. And then what you're going to do is isolate W by getting rid of this 15 by dividing both sides by 15, right? And you get 86. I mean, not 86. What's 180 divided by 15? Uh, well, right? Yeah, it is 12. So D, 12. Okay, last one. Question 25. How many inches are there in 4.5 yards? So you kind of have to know your your units. Um, they want it in inches, so you kind of have to set it up as a stoichiometry. Well, just a little recap. We know that 1 yard is 3 feet, and in 1 feet, there's 12 inches. So how do we set this up? Well, let's convert 1/2 as a decimal. 4.5 is the same thing as 4.5. So you're given 4.5 yards, and then times, and then fraction. Then what I do is put the yards on the bottom because you want that yards gone. And then you're going to put feet. I mean, not feet. Yes. You cannot, no, yes. Don't put inches because we don't really know the conversion between yards and inches. Well, but we do know that the conversion between yard and feet. So we know that for 1 yard, there's 3 feet times. And then you're going to put feet on the bottom and then inch on the top. What is the unit between feet and inches? Well, we know that 1 feet, there's 12 inches. Okay. And then you can put an invisible one under yard. And as you can see, the yards units disappears, right? This cancels. And so does the feet cancels. And then when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply across, not crisscross, right? Because we're not dividing. So 4 times 5 times 3 times 12. So, well, I know that 12 times 3 is 36, and then times it by 4.5, and you get 162. And then on the bottom, what's 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So you see how this doesn't disappear? That's how we know it's in inches. So our final answer is 162 inches. Okay. Okay, so this wraps it up for our math knowledge practice exams. I'm going to stop here.